Police have shut down an Akon show in Patchville due to COVID regulations. Footage of a half-naked man dancing with his dwarf colleague has led to a conference lifetime ban. And the Miss Universe Malta has opened up about being headbutted after finding out her partner cheated on her. All this and more on today's episode of Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Urpani, and with me is Paula, Cauchi, and we've got a very, very busy couple of headlines for you today, as always, so take us away, Paula.
Buonasera, nibdew bl-ewwel l-istorja tal-lum jidher illi il-Pulizija iddeċidiet li tinforza r-regoli tal-COVID-19 u tagħlaq parti pjuttost partikolari għaliex inserta il-parti li fih kellu idoq Akon. Akon illi binu tamparna jiftakar minnu forsi żżar ftit inqas.
Big Havana Coyote days.
Kien mistenni li ħajdoq f'after party tas Sigma Conference il-bira fil-għaxija, iżda ma laħaqx naħseb laqas wasal fuq il-post meta waslu l-pulizija u qalqu il-party fid-dawl illi kienu sfaċċetament qegħdin jiksru ir-regoli tal-COVID. Lovin Malta kellem l-organizzaturi tas Sigma illi jidher li mhumiex qegħdin jikkontestaw illi kienu qegħdin jiksru ir-regoli tal-COVID, anzi li ringrazzjaw il-mulej illi setgħu jagħmlu l-konferenza in the first place. L-statement infisa hija xokkanti daqs il-fatt li artist bħal Akon ġelu jdurlu rad-dar ġifi dal-parti minnu fiha la volja ma sarx, ma setax isir jilħaq il-qofol tiegħu ser jibqa' mniżżel bħala wieħed mill-ikbar fails illi naħseb l-industrija tal-parties pajjiż.
I mean, it was always promised to be a very, very grand party. So before, the organizers were saying there were going to be 500 bottles of the world's best champagne. Photos and videos that emerged from the party made it look like, an indoor festival, basically. Like it was very crowded. So I can understand why the police saw that, at least one regulation wasn't being followed, and it doesn't look like Sigma's woes ended there. In fact, our next headline is also kind of related to the conference, a little bit more directly, in fact, and it has to do with this footage that has emerged and started making the rounds earlier this morning, from one particular stall at the Sigma conference, the Lucky Streak stall, which is a Latvian gaming brand, and the video, or a couple of videos from different angles, in fact you can actually see the person filming from both sides, shows this, this man stripping down basically to his boxers and turning his boxers into a thong before eventually lifting up his colleague who lives with dwarfism and taking him to this barrier pole and dancing with him and dry humping and screaming loudly. Of course, it was all definitely a stunt to gather attention, and attention they did gather, both in the conference and nationally. You had potential investors, you had international businessmen, you technically had Akon probably there in the stall as well, seeing as he was talking about his Akon. Attendees told Lovin Malta it's not okay, they crossed the line. And whether you do think that they crossed the line or not, one Sigma organizer went on record to tell Lovin Malta the two men are idiots, and they won't be allowed to exhibit at the show again. Now, one of the men actually commented under the Lovin Malta post, saying, that the gaming industry takes itself a little bit too seriously these days. He was joking about the whole thing, joking even about the choice of words to describe him and his colleague. Now, they are apparently a comedy troupe that, do these stunts to attract attention, but the Sigma organizers feel like it was a little bit too much. And I mean, this comes, in the same 24 hours as Akon being in a 500 bottle of champagne party that was shut down by the police, reports of female strippers and pole dancers on the conference floor. I mean, the gaming industry is, it never fails to deliver on these controversies, unfortunately.
Anzi, niġġeni niddubita ftit fuq il-prioritajiet ta' dawn l-organizzaturi għaliex illi kellhom ħafna nies għaddejjin bla masks fuq xulxin, etc. ma triggerjax reaction minnaħa tagħhom imma din iż-żifna ir-reazzjoni tagħhom kienet kbira għalija. Jiena nemmen li kif forsi jekk kienna nikkritikawhom dwar l-użu tan-nisa fuq il-polls kienu jgħidulna isma' n-nisa din hemmhekk bil-volontà tagħhom din jagħmlu dak li jridu ħadd ma sforzhom mela m'hemm xejn ħażin, ma nafx għalxiex ħadni daqshekk bi kbira li rajna dan in-nanu jisfhem dak il-mod jekk qed jagħmilha u stess volontarjament anzi biex isir iktar popolari, ma nistax nifhem għaliex kien hemm di reazzjoni daqstant qawwija għalija ma nafx forsi nara l-affarijiet mill-lenti differenti ħafna minn ħadd ieħor imma iġġelni li ddubita fejn huma l-prijoritajiet u jekk humiex. So, minħallu hemmhekk Sigma la volja tawna jumejn ta' stejjer pjuttost strambi f'pajjiżna u ngħaddu għal storja ħafna iktar serja l-bieraħ rajna lil Miss Universe Ġejċini illi qasmet l-esperjenzi tagħha fuq il-programm awla ta' violenza domestika jidher li sfortunatament din it-tfajla kellha tmiss mal-violenza domestika darbtejn, l-ewwel darba violenza psikoloġika li qalet li kienet toħroġ ma' bniedem narcissistic, u t-tieni darba violenza fiżika meta l-boyfriend ta' 3 xhur tagħha għadlu li ħadd itilqu għaliex qabditu jeqlibiela sar violenti ġifieri no. U proset din it-tfajla tuża anke it-titlu tagħha sabiex forsi tagħti kuraġġ il-nisa u rġiel oħra li segwa li jisma' dawn l-istejjer jistgħu jiġru lil kulħadd. Huwa importanti li taraf li qed f'sitwazzjoni abbużiva u li tieħu azzjoni biex l-affarijiet ma jiggravawx ġifieri proset ġejd talli la toħloq kuxjenza u jalla jkun hemm nisa u rġiel li jieħdu l-esperjenza tiegħek biex jieħdu azzjoni wkoll fuq ħajjithom.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Ġejċini's story started being shared by, well, herself and her family members, it was always a very sad, a very disturbing, a very shocking story, but it's very good to see that she turned it into, this positive force. I mean, not just by, winning the contest of Miss Universe, because after all, what is a title after you've been through all of those things, but then turning this platform, this unique platform that is a once in a lifetime for a lot of people, to raise awareness on a very important topic. So, power to you, Jade, and good luck on the Miss Universe after all. Now, on to our next story. The next episode on the John Mallia podcast is already promising to be a very heated one, with none other than Matthew Caruana Galizia being the guest, and we've been given a little bit of a teaser of what to expect. Of course, the episode is going to be in classic John Mallia fashion, over 2.5 hours long, so expect quite a lot of things to be said. But at one point, Matthew does address the persistent conspiracy theories that we've all unfortunately had the displeasure of reading on Facebook time and time again over the last years, including the famous "Why the dog no bark?" This all happened, might I remind you, back in 2018 when a consortium of journalists called the Daphne Project was founded, to try and get to the bottom of the many different pieces of the puzzle. And supporters of then Prime Minister Joseph Muscat had formed another group called the Truth Project, ironically, to cast doubt on the family's intentions and, at points with this conspiracy theory in an example, blaming them for Daphne's murder. Of course, when asked about this, Matthew had a thing or two to say about it. He said, for example, that these people who are crazy and deranged, these conspiracy theories are crazy and deranged, these people say these things because they feel guilty, and the way to feel less guilty is to blame someone else. So they look at any other explanation, no matter how ridiculous. And I mean, if there's one ridiculous conspiracy theory, it's, blaming a dog for a bomb being placed in your mother's car, which is, as hilarious were it not so shocking and so saddening. Of course, there's other things that will be touched upon in the podcast, including, for example, Matthew's initial reaction, which, of course, would have been one of rage. He said he wanted to go to Castille and, kick Joseph Muscat's door and beat him to the floor. Of course, he understood that that wasn't going to get him anywhere, and that's why he decided to kind of channel his anger into this productive justice-seeking effort. The full interview will be published tonight at 9 p.m. over on John Mallia's socials, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts. I know a lot of people are going to be watching and tuning in. I know I will, so I don't know what you think of that, Paul.
Jina, in ġenerali jogħġbuni ħafna il-poddati xejdilhom John ta' John Malija għaliex bħala interviewer ħares lej mill-min ikun qed jintervista forsi mill-lendi differenti saqsi mistoqsijiet li forsi ħadd ieħor ikun diplomatiku wis biex jisaqsihom u allura you get the raw story kif jgħidu bla dubju li l-istess ħajjiġri f'dal-każ naħseb hija intervista pjuttost sensittiva kemm minħabba l-istorja li għaddew minna l-familja Carbona Galizja u anke minħabba jienet nistenna forsi reazzjoni b'saħħitha min m'għandux grazzja ma' din il-familja kulħadd huwa intitolat għall-opinjoni tiegħu nagħmilha ċara, però nagħmilha ċara wkoll anzi nappella sabiex jekk min qed jarana min ħajarhom ma jaqbilx mal-affarijiet li jgħid Matthew Caruana Galizja, nappella r-responsabilità fil-kummenti għaliex inkella wara dil-poddata ħanispiċċaw b'xi complaints l-assa tal-pulizija fuq hate comments jew incitement of hatred, whatever. Jekk mhux qed taqbel ma li jgħid Matthew Caruana Galizja jew jekk taqbel miegħu u ma tistax għal xi ħadd partikolari, m'għandekx għalfejn tafżal bqija ta' Facebook żomm għalik kun responsabbli f'dak li tikteb niftakru li hawn il-multi u anke l-ħabs brabta ma' dak li tikteb fuq Facebook. Quite boring l-input tiegħi, imma inħoss li dil-alert għandha tkun hemmhekk għax iridu nfakru n-nies kontinwament li dak li tajt fil-kċina u dak li tikteb fuq Facebook mhumiex l-istess ħaġa. Nadwa l-aħħar storja llum jekk ma tafux huwa jum storiku għall-inqas reġistru pubbliku kif kien imdaħħal l-ewwel divorzju ta' unjoni ċivili, l-ewwel xogħliment ta' unjoni ċivili jidher li dil-koppja separat lura fl-2018 u li issa uffiċjalment huma divorzjati, ma nafux jekk il-koppja humiex eterosessuali u omosessuali fid-dawl li niftakru li fil-bidunet meta daħal il-kunċett tal-Unjoni Ċivili kellu vantaġġi illi wieħed ma jsirx fi żwieġ ċivili, imma huwa jum storiku kif ġie reġistrat dan ix-xogħliment.
Yeah, I mean, the wedding happened all the way back, the civil union, happened all the way back in 2015. There was, of course, the part from the court for any sort of reconciliation, which the couple felt that there wasn't, and even though some people might have been used to the idea of divorce when it comes to unions, when it comes to marriages and all that, it was still good to see. I mean, it's good to see from a technical point of view as well that, these things are coming in motion, that there is this historic, I know it sounds weird to say it, but it is historic. It is the first. At the same time, of course, it was very interesting to see certain comments that said, see, the sky didn't fall. We are doing these things which up to a decade ago felt, terribly progressive and nearly, anti-human and anti-religious and all that. It's good to see that, life goes on and maybe there are other things that we should be focusing our rage on day by day. But again, of course, channeled respectfully. And with that note, this brings us to an end of today's episode. Have an evening full of lovin'.
Ciao.